This is Scott Welch, Muscle Insider Magazine. We're here with Robert Samborski, Apollon Nutrition. How are you doing today, Robert?
Good, Scott. How are you? Good seeing you.
Good. Listen, I wanted to start by saying, with Apollon Nutrition, before it was Apollon Nutrition, it was Apollon Gym. And we've actually seen a number of supplement companies form a gym afterwards, but you are the only supplement company I'm aware of that started off as a gym and then later became a supplement company. Take me through a bit of that.
Yeah, it was, you're right. I actually never thought about it. Most supplement companies, I guess, they just get the gym going after the supplement company started. But yeah, Apollon Gym is kind of a sort of a legendary gym, I guess, not only in New Jersey, but also in the United States. Anyone who is into bodybuilding, they heard, of course, about Apollon Gym. It's one of those gyms like Metroflex and Powerhouse Gym and etc. So it's a well-known gym. It was established in 1975, and the brand, Apollon Nutrition brand, it just came together to be part of the gym. It was never an idea that we're going to go anywhere beyond the gym. It was just, to get a couple of products, 2, 3, find a manufacturer that would be willing enough to do such small quantities that would last us, say, for example, a year. But still, we would not get more than, I don't know, maybe 30 or 40 or 50 units at the most, especially when it comes to protein, because it was not intended for sale. It was intended just to sell protein shakes and maybe sell a couple of containers to gym members. So that's the reason why it wasn't, I wish I could say that it was like a marketing strategy or something smart that I came up with. Not at all. It's just there was never an intention to go anywhere beyond Apollon Gym in terms of Apollon Nutrition. Maybe I even would have come up with a cooler name or something like that. But yeah, it's the gym first and then nutrition. It just happens to be that now nutrition is number one and Apollon Gym is kind of part of the whole, combination, so to speak.
Okay, now let me take you through something. There's a principle that's kind of been passed along the supplement industry for many years, and there seems to be where it takes one key product to kind of make a supplement company take off. If you look at VPX, originally it was Redline.
Yes.
Redline put them on the map. BSN with NO Explode and Nitrix kind of did that. With Muscle Tech was Hydroxycut, and then later on it was Celltech, and each company has their sort of Redcon 1 Total War kind of took them to that level. So I'm just wondering, looking at Apollon, what would you say is your product that kind of made you guys be known in the industry?
Well, that's the product that actually made us both popular and probably hated the most, and that's Hooligan. Hooligan pre-workout. I remember the first manufacturer that I manufactured the product with, and I never denied that fact because a lot of people are hiding where they manufacture products. You can ask me any product that we make, and I'll proudly say I manufacture with this company. Why should I hide if I have nothing to hide? If it's a solid manufacturer with GMP, NSF, testing, product analysis and stuff like that, why should I be ashamed of? It's almost as if I'm hiding somebody or something. So the first manufacturer that we had was actually NutraBio, and I always gave Mark Glazer credit for at least, for willing to give me those bare minimums just to make sure, that we have enough for our members. Probably today, Mark regrets that he ever gave me that chance. But, but in all honesty, I remember when I brought him the formula of Hooligan, the first thing that Mark said to me, he goes to me, "Are you out of your mind?" And keep in mind, it was 450 milligrams of caffeine. And he goes to me, "This will not sell. This is too much. This is not good." I was like, "Mark, will you manufacture it for me?" He says, "Yeah, I'll do it. But this is definitely not smart. This is not good." Today, if you look around, 400 milligram average of caffeine is the fucking norm. Yeah. This is something that, I don't want to brag or anything like that, but I almost feel like a pioneer, without even having any aspirations to be one. But apparently I'm going to take credit for, maybe I should be ashamed of it at the same time, because a lot of people are kind of, not only with caffeine, but with other things, they kind of go overboard. And especially with prop blends and stuff like that, everybody wants the strongest. And there's nothing wrong with doing the strongest when you go to, and you manufacture it in a legit, transparent way. But when you do a prop blend and you don't know what's in it, and all of a sudden some stim junkie says, "Oh my God, this is so strong, this hits," but it's sparked with some illegal amphetamines or something like that, and we've seen that happen. Then I'm kind of questioning myself. Maybe I fucked up, because I opened the door to Pandora's box in a way. But at the same time, I didn't do anything wrong. All I did was, I provided a product for people that want something strong, something powerful, and I gave them what they wanted. And, there are always warnings. And I always tell people, like, listen, if you have a heart condition or you have any issues or health conditions, I mean, you should probably stay away from stimulants, period. Not just 450 milligram of caffeine. Probably should stay away from caffeine, period, just in case. I'm not saying something will happen, but you know what? You got to be smart about your health. You got to, do regular checkups. You got to go see a doctor. You have to do blood work, and you have to know what's going on with your, I don't know, genetics and family line and all that. That is all up to you. At the same time, I can sell you C4, which I believe contains 250 milligram. Where is a guarantee that you're not some dumbass who's going to go home and take 5 scoops? I cannot prevent that. Once the container is sold to you, I'm sorry, there is nothing I can do. It's out of my hands. The warnings, the disclaimers, everything is there. The rest is up to you. But Hooligan went from kind of this underground, even I would say to a good degree, shady product that people were either want to take it or they were, threatening to sue me, to becoming a very, very popular, and I would say even sort of legendary pre-workout that today is extremely popular. And I'm happy about it. I'm happy that I was able to do something that nobody has done before. But I still get a little bit upset when people say, "Oh, Hooligan is so strong," because if you look at the supplements facts of Hooligan, caffeine is only one of the 15 ingredients in it.
Sure.
There are other ingredients. What makes Hooligan is not just caffeine, because if it's just about caffeine, you can just go and have triple espresso or something like that, and it's going to give you a hit. It's a comprehensive, well-rounded formula that has pump and focus and energy. I mean, what makes Hooligan is the whole cocktail, not just one ingredient.
Okay, now, one of the things that I thought of asking you is, I noticed that you signed Branch Warren and he started working with you guys. What do you look for when you're signing an athlete? Because obviously, as you touched on earlier, you have people that think that, hey, if I placed 6th at the Arnold's, this is how much I'm worth, or if I won whatever, the New York Pro Show, then this is what I'm worth. But what do you as a supplement company owner look for when you're signing an athlete or ambassador, or whatever you are looking at?
Honestly, I've made a lot of mistakes, along the way, because I guess it's a learning process.
Sure.
But I came to conclusion about 2 years ago, I guess, that the brand does not need athletes. I know it sounds a bit of a cliche right now coming from me, but the truth is, I think that Apollon got to that point where we are a well-respected brand. And I'm not talking about, the criticism of the haters or the jealous part. I'm talking about the real people that do understand supplements.
Yeah.
I think we became a very well-respected brand and people know what we are about. So at the same time, I don't think that we need to have anyone to push the product. I think at this point, the products are pushing themselves by the supplement facts, by what they intend to do, by the fact that every ingredient actually delivers. I see a lot of brands where the first 3 or 4 lines of the supplement facts, you go like, wow, that's impressive. And then you go a little bit further down and you realize, oh shit, this is kind of underdosed, So I don't play games with it. And that's the reason why I don't think that it's necessary at this point, at least. If you were a startup brand that needs kind of like a push, and we had a lot of marketing, advertising money to spend, then yes, bringing athletes that have 500,000 followers definitely would help create brand awareness. I don't think we need to create brand awareness. And ironically, when I was on the Final Scoop, I kind of shot myself in the foot with that one, where I said we don't need athletes. And I think that 99% of the athletes that represent brands are shit. They just want to get paid or free products or whatnot. They don't know anything about the brand. They don't know anything about the history. They don't know anything about the supplements. And they will promote anything that they get something out of it.
Yeah.
And you've been around, so I'm not lying. Maybe I'm coming off a little bit harsh, but it's the truth. So, the guys on the Final Scoop, they did agree with me to an extent. And then literally maybe a month or two later, I'm calling Shane. I'm like, I think I'm signing Branch Warren. And he goes to me, the first thing that Shane sent to me, he says, what happened to not signing athletes? But the truth is that I've known Branch obviously for quite some time, but we were never friends. It was more like a hi-bye kind of a thing, just courtesy and professionalism. But we got on the phone and we got to talk, and clearly he heard about the brand by then, because it was, I believe, like a year and a half ago or something. So at that point, brand was getting more and more attention, and we got to talk. We kind of hit it off instantly. It wasn't even about us signing him or anything like that, but we hit it off, and he was just, I think he walked away from Caged, if I'm not mistaken. He was with them for a while. We got to talk, and kind of like, Branch is known for hardcore. Branch is known for representing that, Dorian Yates, Ronnie Coleman, Branch Warren types of workouts that correspond with exactly the Hooligan and Assassin and what we do.
Yeah.
So it kind of made sense, but it wasn't like finalized or anything like that. But we both said like, well, maybe, it wasn't, I was not pushing him to sign. He was not pushing to get signed. Branch is a very, very successful man. He owns multiple businesses. So he's not some bum who just, depends on a contract or anything like that. Plus, to be honest with you, I mean, financially, we were not struggling, but we were just growing. And you know how it is when you don't have investors, when you don't have, rich partners who are just supplying you with money. I mean, everything was done with us. I mean, the brand grew. It was basically me, Marina, Carolina, and Alina, the four of us. And, we have a good friend of ours, Rich, who was helping us. All five of us worked for free. I mean, I can tell you right now, to be transparent, I still haven't gotten one dime out of Apollon Nutrition, just because Apollon keeps growing, and everything that we make, every penny goes back into the brand, and we're doing it all ourselves. We never paid Price Plow or any of those guys to hype us up or anything like that. We did work with them once or twice with both Fitness Informant and Price Plow, where we paid for content to talk about the product, but we never paid them to hype us up.
Yeah.
We never paid them to get an award, that everybody knows what's going on behind the scenes in the industry. It's just not the way we do things. And so everything was done by us. Everything was done literally. I mean, I showed you the gym just before we started the podcast. It's a small 5,000 square feet gym. There is less than 10 employees at Apollon. And that's just the way we do things. So when Branch and I got to talk, it was just how he won me over by saying, send me the products so I can check them out for myself. That was pretty much a green light for me to be very, very interested, because every time, not that we talk to a lot of athletes, but some athletes that we talk to, the first thing would come up is money.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that anything wrong with it. I understand everybody's trying to make a living. There's nothing wrong with money. But at the same time, I want to see that you want to join Apollon because you actually care about the brand.
Okay. So family-run business, you remind me a lot of Jack Owak from VPX Bang Energy. He worked out of a store and he lived in the back of the store in an apartment. And he got his the business started to really turn when he got his first order from other stores across the country. What was the turning point? Because you were selling product right out of your gym. But what was the first, or do you remember the first order that you got from from an actual supplement store or distributor or anything?
Yeah, the first one. So I had a very, very dear friend who unfortunately passed away a couple of years ago, and he was a top national level competitor, bodybuilder, Mark Termini, who had at that point, I think he had two stores in New Jersey. And even though we were friends, obviously we didn't have sales reps, we didn't have nobody. And like I said before, it was not my intention to get into stores. It has nothing to do with pride or anything, just not wasn't my intention. And I remember one day when people started posting, I guess, on social media, and he stopped by the gym and he saw the products. And again, it wasn't like me like pitching an idea, Mike, you should carry this or anything like that. None of that. But he was very, very knowledgeable, obviously. And one day he just called me. I think the brand existed maybe for about a year or something. And he goes to me, says, Rob, how come, I don't carry your products? And I said to him, I said, look, really, nobody does. Nobody carries our products. I mean, it's only for the gym. He says, so you not going to sell to stores or anything like that? And I said, I didn't think about it, And he says, I think it's time that Termini Nutrition carries Apollon. I was shocked because we didn't have a wholesale list. We didn't have nothing. We didn't have price lists. We were not prepared for it. But he was the first one. I remember it was a big order. It was like $2,000 order. And I remember I was like, shit, I don't even know if we have inventory for this. But that's how it started. And I think that was the second year. And that year, somebody else from New Jersey saw it. And so there was another store that started carrying it. And then we started selling online. But it was a very, very slow process, very slow evolution.
Okay. Okay. So then in terms of that, I mean, that's how many countries are you in now? I mean, how many would you estimate? I mean, it's hard to say when you're on a website that kind of ships to different places, but where you have distribution, I mean, it sounds like you have a background in Eastern Europe, is it?
Yeah, I was born in Ukraine. So yeah, I do speak Russian, and I've been there a couple of times, obviously. But it has nothing to do with the fact that I'm from that region. We just ironically, I met very influential, wealthy individual who became a very, very good friend. I met him in Thailand when I was training Muay Thai a couple of years ago, and his son was preparing for a fight. So we met over there, and I had just some products with me for my personal use. And I let him use it as well. And he liked it. And, we kind of hit it off, became friends. When I returned back to the United States, he called me and he says, I would like to be distributor in Russia, even though like his business is completely different. And the idea was pretty much mission impossible, because to get the Russian certificates and to be allowed to legally, especially with the sanctions and everything, to be able to come to Russia over a decade, no US company succeeded in doing so. Thankfully, it took us about 3 or 4 years, and we just got to legally again to Russia, and we sell again in Russia, Uzbek, Kazakhstan, and Belarus, because the certificates are valid for those 3 countries. I think also Armenia, possibly. And so we are officially there. But besides that, we have people that we work with in Australia. We have people in UK. India, I think, just started this month, I believe. We just met with some people who came from Brazil. We had a meeting with them 2 weeks ago. So, hopefully getting into that region as well, which is very, very difficult to get into. In terms of a reach, we have somebody in Poland who is pretty big, and he sells all over actually the world. I mean, he has those capabilities to ship. So that's been going pretty successful as well. So yeah, there's quite a few countries, and it keeps expanding, just like United States.
Okay. What is an Apollon? Is that what does that mean? What does the word mean?
Obviously it comes from the Greek mythology, but the first owner of Apollon Gym, the one who started the gym, his name was Mike. He came up with the name, and also the Apollon Gym logo. If you look at it, it's kind of very, very old school logo with the big guy, kind of very ancient kind of a type. And as far as I know, that's actually Mike, the first owner. That's actually, it's his image. But yeah, it comes from just a Greek mythology, and that's pretty much it.
Okay, all right. Now, obviously, when you approach a formula, I mean, you obviously work with some of the people who help you on the science part of this. Is it your wife that helps on this side of it, of the formulation side, or how do you guys break what you do and what the other members of your team do?
Hmm. That's that's actually funny. Ironically, not to brag or anything like that, but I started doing the formulas myself. So the only knowledge that I had was I used to do contest preps for athletes, but that involved you know different kind of supplements, obviously,
Yeah.
where I would have to advise on different protocols and whatnot. But obviously, nutrition and supplements came into play. So I had a good knowledge, but I wouldn't say that I was like this genius who knew everything. It
Sure.
wasn't like that. So when it was time to to get protein and Hooligan, to be honest with you, I Googled everything. I just did my own research, and I did it by myself. Mark Glazier pointed out to a few things, but it was just me basically sitting like a geek in front of the computer and kind of like doing my own thing. And even looking at the first Hooligan, I already saw that a couple of mistakes that I've made, and that's the reason why we actually tried to upgrade each version of Hooligan almost on an annual basis. In fact, Hooligan 6 is coming out in 2 weeks, and that's the company is 7 years old. So it's pretty much every year we had a new Hooligan. The only one we didn't have was actually last year. We didn't upgrade. And the only reason why we didn't, it was because of the supply chain, issues that everybody's having. So it was delayed to 2022. Otherwise, it would have been last year. In terms of others, like a little bit more complex, and sometimes I will consult with Robert Schnetsky, who is, in my opinion, is the best in the industry. The
Oh,
guy
the
is,
engineer.
yeah, he's truly, truly knowledgeable,
Yeah.
and he actually helps me with some formulations. He just helped me with collagen that we're working on. He helped me with nootropic that we are coming with. So I would say that I consult with him. I pick his brain, and he's a good friend of mine who's been very, very helpful. My wife is a little bit on a different spectrum because she's a pharmacist. So she is more with the wellness and health.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why we came with such a kick-ass, immune system product last year, which immediately became a huge hit. And honestly, and I'm not just saying it, it's a fact. Nothing like that exists on the market. And she's been involved with kidney formula that we've been working on, along with Robert. She helped with the sleep formula that we coming up. So she's more to do with the wellness, collagen and stuff like that. And she's also a former bodybuilder, national level bodybuilder, and an NPC judge. So her knowledge is pretty good. I mean, she
Sure.
definitely knows her thing. So I mean, I'm blessed in a way, to be surrounded by two such individuals. And Lucas is a true geek when it comes to supplements. He lives supplements. He
Yeah.
lives ingredients, and he's been actually very helpful with quite a bit. In fact, resistance, the immune system, he contributed to it quite a lot. So again, I'm definitely very, very lucky.
Great. Okay, now you guys are known for stims, but I noticed this product here, the
Mhm.
Molotov. And if I'm butchering the name of that, please correct
No,
me.
you're not too good.
Um, but looking at this is a non-stim fat burner. Take me through
Correct.
the reason why you guys who are known for stems kind of went the other way here on this one with no stims.
I'll be honest. It's just I felt, to me, pre-workouts and fat burners always were associated with stamps, and because you're obviously one of the main guys behind the brand. This goes to Muscle Tech, hydroxycut
Yeah.
original with a fedra in it. I mean, that shit worked. That's the bottom line.
Yeah.
It worked. It was a great product. It was like a golden standard when it comes to fat loss products. So I'll admit I was not a believer in non-stems because I just thought it was a waste of time. And and another thing, I still kind of like a big fan of stems when it comes to fat burners, because I feel like when you're dieting, you're, non-stem will drain you a little bit, but
Sure.
stems will help you with that energy that is clearly lacking when you're dieting, really dieting hardcore and doing cardio and all that. But the non-stem came just because I looked at the market and I saw there's really nothing on the market that delivers. I mean, all they do is I'm not impressed with 90%, 99% of the formulas when it comes to fat burners. But when you take out the stems, it's probably closer to 100% that
Sure.
I'm not impressed with. I just think for most part, they're very, very underdosed. And when you take them, I understand you're not supposed to feel the kick because the stems are missing, but at least to feel that thermogenic effect, to feel that heat, where you're sweating and losing the excess water, and, even if it helps 2 or 3% with losing fat and creating that, raising that body temperature, then it works. But with all those products, it just doesn't happen.
Mhm.
So I looked at some of the ingredients that we can play with, and acetyl L-carnitine. Clearly, it works. It works probably more with focus than fat loss, but nevertheless, it's a great ingredient and it helps,
Yeah.
especially if you dose it correctly, which I believe a minimum should be about 1,000, but 1,500 to 2,000, I think that's where it really works beautifully. And then everybody knows about grains of paradise, but because everybody's using so little of it, you barely breaking a sweat when you take it. But when you dose it, when you cross that 180 200 milligram dose and you're around that, that's when the magic happens. So this was no brainer. It's a great trademark ingredient that you will feel the heat. Capsimax, of course, trademarked capsaicin
Yeah.
at 50 to 100 milligram. It's a very expensive ingredient,
Sure.
but taking that, you bet your ass you're going to feel the heat. And then GBB, obviously, anywhere 30 to 50 to 60 milligram per serving, especially for some reason I noticed when you're pairing it with paradoxin, the heat will come. I mean, you will feel it. And then, of course, mitoburn. I mean, mitoburn is fairly popular ingredient, and there is a lot of good data behind it. And I talked to people from NNB. They also sent me samples, and I really liked what I saw. And I thought that this would be a great addition, considering especially that it's non-stem. I felt like that would be a great addition to the formula. And we obviously put everything together. We tried it, and I remember half a dose. It's like one of those things when you say, I love to hate. Well, I
Ah,
love to hate this product because you're sweating. Like, you cannot stop sweating for hours. So, I even had complaints. Well, I don't know what sweat. Well, it's a thermogenic. You know what? Live with it or don't take it. But
yeah.
this is the whole point behind it, is that you're supposed to feel that heat. You're supposed to feel that you're supposed to be sweating, unfortunately. And without any without any stems. So it delivers exactly what you would expect from a product of this magnitude. So I think it's still, if you want to label it Apollon and you want to label it hardcore premium, even without any stems, I think it fits right in.
Absolutely. The mito burn I really love because obviously it's going to help. It's kind of a supportive ingredient, but it's interesting. There's some research that shows it helps convert white adipose tissue to brown adipose tissue. So I think the more brown adipose tissue you can get, then obviously you have more that you can stimulate. And if you're taking things like grains of paradise that also trigger the brown adipose tissue to be active, you're getting that whole thermogenic effect. But it's also helpful for insulin sensitivity. So I think that this product is probably going to be really good for those who are obviously trying to cut carbs, or those who maybe a little bit more tolerant to carbohydrates, and then others are having a slight insulin tolerance with.
I agree with you. I
So
agree. And you know what? It's interesting because I remember, and again, being 100% transparent, that's the only way I know how to do this. When Mitoburn came out, and I didn't read about it much, I didn't like really research it or anything like that. I was very skeptical. I was very, very, very skeptical, just like I am with majority of those trademark ingredients that are flooded the market recently. And let's be honest, most of them have no scientific proof. They don't have any conclusive data behind it that would, guarantee. And yes, I know people are saying, like, what do you want guarantee for? I want guarantee. I'm spending money. I want guarantee that this shit works. I'm going to go buy pizza that costs $3-4 a slice. I want to make sure that it tastes good. Even those $3-4, I want to make sure that they're well spent. I don't want nothing in my formula that doesn't work, period. Yeah. And, people from NNB were amazing. They sent my manufacturer samples. They sent me samples. We played around with it. And, I read literature about it, and they answered every question that I had. And I was like, okay, you know what? I'm happy with this.
That's one of the things that you as a brand owner, I mean, you're all about integrity, and you can look at the label. I mean, I'm just going to put it up here. You can see the branded ingredients that you're including in here. One of the things that the pandemic has caused is a shortage of raw materials. And there's a constant army of people, companies that are always contacting you to try to sell you cheaper versions of this or cheaper versions of that. But I mean, who's making these ingredients? I mean, who's going to be accountable to what I love about NNB is that I know exactly who's manufacturing the raw ingredient, and I know exactly who to call to find out what's in this, what are the specs, and then lab testing them. They're always going to be on the money because you know that they are putting in the product what's on the label, which helps you be able to assure the same. Because as you said at the beginning of this interview, this is all about integrity for you putting your name to a supplement. And if you have to be accountable to Branch Warren or any of these different people, you want to know that you can get it, and it's that it's consistent. I've talked to other supplement company owners and manufacturers, and there's so much that, I mean, Glanbia prides themselves on the fact that not everything that comes in their plant because they buy protein from other sources as well. They don't just, Glanbia isn't the only supplier of Optimum Nutrition's protein. They're buying protein from all over the world. But if they lab tested at that time and it doesn't make the cut, it gets rejected because it didn't meet label claim. They don't put it in their product. But that doesn't mean that that's going to get destroyed. That's going to get sold to another company. And with all the shortages that are happening in the world, we're seeing creatine prices going through the roof. We're seeing protein powder prices going through the roof for whey protein. This is just meaning that there's going to be more and more cheating. And with the FDA and a lot of the shutdowns that have happened on inspecting manufacturing facilities, that hasn't been done to the level that it was being done before by the FDA. Now there's been a lot of cheating that's been going on because they know that the inspectors aren't there to inspect it. That's going to change now, and the inspectors are going to be starting to go back. So you're going to start to see now where the corner cutting that's going to have to stop is going to cause shortages and a rise in cost. What I like about NNB is you know exactly where you stand. You know what you're putting in the product is on the label, and vice versa. So, but listen, what's going for this next? I mean, you've always got these new products that are coming out, but what would you say would be the next most exciting product? You mentioned collagen, you mentioned nootropics. What would you say is the most exciting product you have coming down the pipeline?
Well, the product that we released today, Lionheart, has gotten a lot of attention, and something that I did not expect, because we had a product used to be called Kumite, and that's essentially what Lionheart is. And it's a pre-workout for endurance athletes, for fighters. That was made for fighters in mind. And the product was actually one off that, even on the podcast, they were surprised when I said it. It was one of the products that I did not really like. I felt like it was below Apollon standard. It was not what I'm known for. It was something that I feel like probably the only product that I had that I believe that I didn't do my best. I actually apologized for it because I feel like it wasn't up to par with what Apollon represents. I was glad when it was gone, and I wanted to redeem myself. And Lionheart is my redemption. It's a product that it has gotten a lot of attention, even considering this is the first very moderate low stim product that we have. We either have stem or we have non-stem, but we don't have anything in between. This just delivers fighters on a whole other level. And, considering the attention that it got, I'm extremely happy. But the next one that's going to be really, really big, and this is actually the first time I'm talking about, it's going to be intra workout that is going to come out, I believe, in about a month.
Okay.
And I can wholeheartedly say that nothing, and I mean nothing, remotely close has ever been done.
Wow.
And I probably the most, it's not even premium. I would say this is a luxurious product, because it just, any intra workout that you can think of, this one is going to raise the bar so high that, I mean, anyone can still attain it, but I don't think anyone is even going to attempt. That's how good it is. And considering it's not stim, obviously, it's not a pre-workout, it's none of those, heavy hitters, but this one is something that is like really, I mean, took about 2 years to come up with this. Trademarks all over, high dosages. All I can say is the serving size is 75 grams.
I was going to say, I thought I'd heard on a podcast recently that it was around 75 grams that was the serving size. So really, will a cluster dextrin make its way in there?
I see what you're doing in there. Yes, it does.
Of course.
It does. I mean, like I said, it's pretty much, I'm going to give another one a little hint. It's a combination of about 3 Apollon products in one, and plus more. That's how jacked up this product is. But I think that there are often people throwing around such things as game changer and whatnot, and you look at it, I was like, really? Come on, you can do better. This is a game changer without any doubt. This just will raise the bar so high that even if we are, say, at this level, this is just goes through the roof. This is a skyscraper.
Okay. Now, the last thing I'm going to bring up here is very happy about the fact that you won the brand of the year from Stack 3D. So we had that listed down here. Very, very good accomplishment. Stack 3D is obviously industry leader in supplement news. So you winning brand of the year, what did that feel like?
I actually, I already talked about this numerous times. When Shane nominated and said that Apollon looks like a top 10 brand in 2020, I was pleasantly surprised by that, because I didn't see us as being even in a conversation of that. But once he said, Apollon is up there, top 10, top 5, it definitely lit the fire up my ass. And I said, like, hold on a second. So we have a chance to win. And he said to me, of course you do. I was like, okay, talk to me. I said, what does it take to win? And Shane basically said what he, it wasn't like a secret recipe or anything like that. Shane is a very good, honest individual who I'm proud to call a friend. But he was basically, I think that anyone, if they want to win something or they want to do something, if they, you would go to, say, for example, your coach or something like that, and you would say, Coach, how can I be better? Or you're going to go to your teacher in school and you're going to say, like, okay, I got a B. What can I do to get an A? And he's going to say, you have to study more. You have to pay attention more to this or that. If you're a fighter, your coach is going to tell you, you're a hard hitter, but your cardio sucks. Work on your cardio. So that's exactly what I did. I'm very competitive by nature. And when I saw, I smelled that it's possible. I mean, it was like basically, like a lion. Like I was all over it. And Shane told me, like, this is what we're looking for in brand of the year. This is what we want. And I mean, that's it. I was like, okay. I said, I'm going to win 2021. And I just, with that arrogance and that cockiness and that confidence, I just absolutely, like, I didn't compete against anyone. I just knew I have a blueprint, what it takes. And I knew if I follow that blueprint, if I do things right, if I work hard, if I'm consistent, if I keep releasing cutting edge products, if I deliver on my promise, if I do what it takes, I just didn't see anyone who can prevent me from winning it. So again, I don't want you to think, that I'm this arrogant or, a guy who is in love with himself or something like that. It's not that. It was a mission. It was my target. It was my goal. And there was nothing, even my members of my team tried to calm me down because I was borderline obsessed with it. I would go on the final scoop and I would say, we're winning this. I said other companies are fighting for a second spot. I would put the hashtag brand of the year. Perhaps I even went a little bit too far. I admit that. But at the same time, you know what, when you want something very, very badly, you go for it. So even at the end, if we wouldn't win, it would hurt. As long as I know that I've done everything possible to do it, that's all that matters. But not to be overly dramatic or anything like that. What I think companies like Inspired, who won Brand of the Year, I think about 3 years ago, also a smaller company, a company like Apollon, when they win Brand of the Year and you have Gradcon nominated and, those big ass companies and you beat them, what it shows to other brands and what it shows, it gives them hope. It gives them hope that anything is possible if you do things right and if you work hard. So to me, that was an accomplishment on so many levels for my team, for myself personally, for my brand, and also to give hope that, things can be done without paying for awards, without sponsoring awards, without doing it, with shady business behind the scenes or anything like that. It's not necessary, especially when the awards are presented by the most reputable platform, Stack 3D. And when I heard some people saying that I paid for it, and don't get me wrong, but it doesn't matter. What matters is that I know the truth, and I know that Shane is a standout guy, and I know that it's an honor to win this award. That's probably my biggest accomplishment in the supplement industry, and something I really cherish tremendously and proud of.
Yeah, no, you guys did a great job. And looking at it throughout the year, what I think I really liked is I liked the seminar that you put on. I like that. That was really.
By the way, I would like to be. I like you to be the first to find out. The next seminar is October 22nd, and I would like to invite you to the seminar.
That would be great. I mean, the fact that you did that during the pandemic, which was really cool because it kind of was edgy and almost that it was what you'd expect from a harder core brand, is to bring people into the same room when the society says not to. I thought it helped reinforce what the brand was about. It gave an experience that reinforced what your gym's about and what you're about in terms of pushing the edge a bit. I like the use of branded ingredients, as I've said. I really like the doses that you go on. And I like the fact that it's surrounded around a gym that kind of gives it this stereo effect on the brand, and it allows you to get content surrounding that even further. And although I think for the North America, United States market, the V1, V2, V3, that helped you by doing so many updates to that, it can cause you to do well in the United States because of that market and short production runs and regulatory issues that you can kind of just blow through inventory and start another. You can update a pre-workout every 30 days if you really wanted to, as long as you're not worried about, getting stuck with the inventory and if you can get line time. It would have hurt you international though, because international, you have to do product registrations. And those formulas can't change. You change one thing, you change certain countries, you change one manufacturer. And it's starting all over again. But in what works with international, is our good friend Derek Crossman, I'm sure, told you, is low cost commodities, very economical way, very economical gainers. And a lot of the companies that are manufacturing products. One thing that's interesting is I went to China and I got a very popular protein on the market that was what you'd see here in the United States. And I brought it home and I got the exact same flavor and poured them both on a table, and they're different color. And they're different taste, different smell. The whole taurine, glycine, amino spiking with creatine, because 1 gram of creatine will test out to 2 grams of protein. The whole science of making an economical whey or an economical gainer, it won't work in the US. Gainers that are filled with maltodextrin, there's a niche for it, but it's really not the serious performance person looking for those. But I almost feel like it worked for brand of the year for you in being true. I think that had you done what would have been more effective internationally, which would be selling really simple formulas with cheap ingredients, it may have caused you to not win brand of the year, because the way Shane looks at these brands is there's a lot of things that are in the back of the product on the label to see what is actually in it and what's the marketing around it. You're surrounded in great company in Glaxon. I mean, phenomenal formulas, as you can see, in Obvi, very creative functional food type company. But I think that what I liked about what you had was bringing hardcore formulas that would work for the United States market and continually updating them to keep sort of a campaign going throughout the year, so that it was just another product coming out. And I think that in an interview with Shane Smith, where they interviewed Obvi, he talked about a content calendar. I think he had a collagen 17 flavors before he signed off on the formula, even to launch it. And he just wanted to have that as sort of the content grid throughout the year, and be on, some of the different websites that were there with an excuse to interrupt the consumer with another flavor, another flavor, another flavor. You kind of cranked up your production pipeline quite a bit. And that really, I think all these things collectively, and being true to who you are as a brand, I think for me, gets a great vote for endorsing your Brand of the Year award.
Thank you. Well, you see, the thing is that you just brought up Glaxon and Obvi, and I think that the beauty about, some people ask me, of course, do you have a problem that there is other two brands that also Brand of the Year? And I said, absolutely none. And the reason is, I even congratulated them because we are different. We are different from Glaxon. We are different from Obvi. And I think the key to our success and to their success is doing what we do best. I don't think that Glaxon or Obvi should be doing what Apollon does, and I don't think Apollon should be doing what they do. Sure. Something that works for you. We all have our, customer base, followers, people that look up to us, and I think that doing something different might be even perceived as cheating them, and trying, you should stick to what you're good at. And if you stick to what you're good at, you're only going to get better at what you do. I don't know if you follow MMA or, or a fan of it, but back when UFC just started, they had it looked more like a brawl, big guys, and they were just throwing punches and whatnot. And then came this little guy, Gracie, who, he did not look big. He wasn't very muscular. He couldn't even throw really a punch. I mean, that's not what he was good at, but he was this fucking genius in jiu-jitsu, and even came to fight. He was wearing a gi, he wasn't like, was shirtless or anything like that. And everybody looked at him and they were like, okay, this guy's fucked. And the thing is, he beat those huge guys. He was submitting them one after another one, and there was nothing they could do. He would take them down at will, and he was beating them. And again, he was submitting them easily. The reason why he did that is because he didn't try to be like them and beat them at their game. Yeah. He beat them at what he is good at. And that's, I think, the reason, and I agree with you wholeheartedly about this, the reason why we won Brand of the Year, because Apollon stuck to what Apollon is. Even sometimes I will, because again, I'm proud to call Shane my friend, and sometimes we would talk about, and either some product or a formula will come up in a conversation, and he will say to me himself, yeah, you can't do that. That's not Apollon. So there is a stigma now to what Apollon is. I can release a greens product. I can release a collagen product. I can release multivitamin product, but that product better correspond with what we do and how we do things. As long as we continue to stay in our own lane and do what we're good at, I think we can only get better. Yeah. You have to conquer first, locally. You don't become an IFBB or you don't become Mr. Olympia right away. First, you win your regional show. Then you win your national show. After the national, you win a pro show. After a pro show, you qualify for Olympia. And only then you win the Olympia. I mean, you should be so lucky, but that's the sequence. So yes, you're absolutely right. We wouldn't probably have a chance if we went international right now, because we would have to kind of be like everybody else. Unfortunately, all those formulas are about the same, because you have to please not the people, but in order to be licensed, you have to please the governing body. and that's a completely different thing. So yeah, I agree with you.
Well, listen, I just wanted to thank you so much for taking the time today. And, Apollon supplements, I mean, I just keep seeing you guys doing more and more and more. And it's just exciting. I love seeing the names, and I love obviously getting to hear you on the Supplement Engineer podcast and some of the things that you do in the industry. And definitely would love to get a chance next time I'm in Jersey to head down to your gym, hit a workout,
hell yeah.
and definitely we'll do it up. Listen, where can fans go to find out more about Apollon Nutrition?
Apollon Nutrition website, apollonnutrition.com, or they just can DM me. I talk to everyone.
Awesome. Okay. Thanks again, Robert.
Thank you so much, Scott. It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Bye.